unfolding. You know, we're in the year 2024, and if you're like me, you look to prophecy and you see the things that are happening in the world, and it's almost looking at the prophetic clock ticking away ever so quickly to its crescendo. Jesus and some of the prophets told us the things that would happen coming towards the end times, coming toward the time that Jesus would return. And today I wanted to show you three major signs that Jesus spoke about would happen just before his return. Now this will be to some people eye-opening because it's so clear to what's happening, but to some will be reaffirming as well. This is to be a message of hope to anyone who is looking at prophecy and looking at the things, the dark things that are happening in the world. This will give you a sense of hope. What I'll ask you to do is to watch it in full, to get the full context, but also smash the like button so that someone who does not know Christ may come to the understanding of who Christ truly is and find him once and for all. Remember, God is proven to be right all the time. The first major sign Jesus spoke about, we see in Matthew, we see in Luke. You know, we talked about the increase and the intensity of what we call natural disasters happening in the world, and what's happening right now really shows that that sign is happening.
Earthquakes all around the planet. Earthquakes and tsunami warnings all over the world today, as not just Japan, but Hawaii, Alaska, California, Yellowstone, Montana, Indonesia, the Virgin Islands, El Salvador, New Mexico, Puerto Rico, Fiji, Russia, Texas, Chile, and the Northern Mariana Islands have all experienced earthquakes in the last 24 hours, as today, January 1st, 2024, the first day of the new year, it seems that the entire world is trembling. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you the latest video footage so you can see it for yourself, and the tsunamis that are pouring in. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. This all hitting on the first day of 2024, and like I said,
you know, for the purpose of the video, I was only going to show a couple. I could be here for hours showing you all the different things that are happening in Europe, strange weather events of things that normally wouldn't happen. Yes, I believe that man can have its hand in some of the things that are happening at the moment, but I also believe that at the end of the day, God's judgments, the things he said would happen, are going to happen, and man in the end can't control the things that God has called to be. You know, the second one that we look at that's happening at the moment has really drastically changed in the last 35 years, and something Jesus spoke about many times, and we see in Timothy as well. He spoke that in the last days something would happen and that would really start to shift and show us that we're close to the return of Christ. Have a listen.
That's right. I've got another chapter in the book where I talk about what's happening just internally in America, the moral rot in our country. When people ask, when is God going to judge America? If people will read Romans 1, they'll find out really he already is.
Yes.
The first form of God's judgment is to give people over to their own sin. And if you read Romans 1, 3 times you have God gave them over, and the first giving over is to what we might call a sexual revolution. The second step there is a homosexual revolution.
Wow.
And then the final step is just the open encouragement of evil. So I see that we are already being judged. Now people say, well, can we turn that around? Well, none of us knows God's timetable. You know, if there was to be a mass revival in our country, certainly there could be a turnaround. But I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about this mass revival that could come to America, and he said, well, where would the revival come from? I said, well, it would come from the churches. I said, well, do you see any indication? I mean, our churches are becoming more focused on entertainment and lack of teaching the Bible and of doctrine. So how is that kind of a revival going to come? So, you know, I don't want to be some, pessimist about this, but his point was well taken.
You know, today more than ever I feel that the moral decay and this whole thing that's happening in society is so much more prevalent today than it would have been years ago. We're at a stage now where they're saying, you know, many things that people can identify as animals and all types of things, and people are kind of, you know, losing their identity and who they are and trying to kind of source something that's not real. We as believers find our identity in him and him alone. It's sad to see what's happening in the world at the moment, especially with the younger generation not knowing who they are, so they pass themselves off as anything now just to feel like they have a special identity. But the whole moral decay in society is happening at such a fast rate, it's almost become normal. We've become numb to it. But even if I look back to when I was young, the things that I'm seeing happening today just wouldn't have been out in the open when I was a young child. growing up. But you know, one of the major signs that I see happening now, Revelation 13 talks of a system that's going to be in place. And when people talk to me about end times, they say that all these things could have happened. But there's one in specifically in Revelation 13 that only today we have the technology. And here is a little sample.
Right now it's sort of an open period where they're asking the public for feedback on a central bank digital currency. Well, the answer is it's not going very well.
Here at the Bank of Canada, we're exploring the possibility of issuing a digital version of cash. Not to replace cash, but to ensure Canadians always have access to a safe, stable, and official payment option in an increasingly digital world. Part of being ready is hearing from you. Your input will help us make choices about the design of our digital dollar, ensuring it's convenient, easy to use, and meets your needs.
So today we are the only generation that could really actually implement Revelation 13, the whole thing of the mark of the beast and the money system, to where you need this mark in order to buy and sell. You know, up until this point we could barter, you know, with the things that we have from people, but the whole push now going forward is towards digital. Now what that means is everything can be controlled. You can see what you're spending and where it's going. Everything is going digital. Cars, everything that we see in the world are trying to change. And what that will do now is give them full control of the full infrastructure if it moves that way. But I believe that we are the generation that Jesus spoke about, and that the visions that John had seen, we are that specific generation. No other time in human history have we seen all of these type of signs lining up together. What we need to realise is, while we still have a bit of time, and this is something I always say, this is not doom and gloom, this is to make you aware of the things that are happening, but we're still alive today. We still have a chance to tell someone that Christ is the true Redeemer. He is the only way. But also, as we see these things unfolding before our eyes, we can still live full in Christ. We don't hide away, we don't slumber away, we still have to live. But when it comes to the rapture, many people ask, there is no sign that will supersede the rapture, because I believe that could happen at any given time. But when I look at the things happening in the world, I just have a sense in my spirit that we're very close to that time period in terms of that thing could actually happen in terms of the rapture. But I believe that Christ is on his way. I believe he's putting his cloak on and he's about to come. But in the meantime, let's keep sharing the gospel. Let's keep pushing it out, that people can find their identity in him and be changed and be set free. It's in Christ and Christ alone that me and you have the ability to be able to say we're set free because of what he done, not because of what we done. Remember, regardless of all the chaos that's going on in the world, God is always in control. Keep the faith.
A kid from Dublin with more than a dream. He knew one day he'd be the king of the UFC. Oh, with a group of fighting Irish, not to be pushed over, not here to take part. They were here to take over, and from the start, John Kavanagh by his side. Whoever thought they'd be known worldwide after 60 G's, baby, and a contract to sign, leaving his whole life and the social welfare behind. And after 2 years came the featherweight champion of the world, and Conor said he'd make him look like a little girl. It only took 10 seconds to show his talk wasn't cheap, as he connected with the left and put Aldo to sleep.